Greetings from the Inter-Religious Council of Uganda, IRCU. We want to thank all Ugandans who participated in the recently concluded presidential and parliamentary elections. We are encouraged by the resilience exhibited by the political actors and voters, sometimes against many odds. Now that the Electoral Commission has announced the outcome, we would like to congratulate His Excellency Yoweri Museveni on being elected to another term in office. We also extend our congratulations to all the other candidates who took part in the presidential and parliamentary elections. To those who were successful, we urge you to celebrate responsibly and to serve all Ugandans, regardless of their political affiliations. And to those who are not successful, we encourage you to take heart. There is always another opportunity. We also wish to commend the Electoral Commission, security agencies, and election observers for completing the first phase of the elections. As you may be aware, IRCU was one of the observers of this election. Today, we have invited you to share some of our findings and recommendations following the January 15th, 2026 presidential and parliamentary elections. Our technical team is preparing a detailed election observation report, which will be shared with the public at a later date. In the meantime, allow us to highlight some of the key findings. Context and the key incidents. The 2026 general elections unfolded in an environment defined less by open contestation than by control, caution, and calculated restraint. While voting took place across the country, it occurred within a political atmosphere marked by fear of escalation. By polling day, many communities across Uganda were operating with limited access to information beyond their immediate surroundings. In areas such as Kampala, Wakiso, Mukono, and parts of Luwero, voters and party agents reported uncertainty about developments outside their polling stations, including voting progress, incidents, or official updates. The absence of social media and messaging platforms removed an important channel through which citizens, observers, and party agents normally share information and cross-check events. As a result, polling stations functioned in isolation rather than as part of a wider, visible national process. This reduced opportunities for real-time verification and public scrutiny. The communication restrictions had implications on both electoral integrity and political participation. Limited access to communication constrained coordination among observers, party agents, and election officials, thus weakening accountability mechanisms. in an environment where trust in the electoral process was already fragile, restricted information flows increased suspicion and allowed rumors to saturate without timely clarification and redress. 2, operational inconsistencies. Delayed opening of polling stations and of results. In parts of Kampala and Wakiso, several polling stations opened late due to in the delivery of election materials and failures of biometric voter verification kits. These delays disrupted voting schedules and resulted in too long waiting time, particularly affecting elderly voters and women with young children. In some cases, voters left polling stations before casting their unclear use of manual procedures. Where biometric systems failed, some polling officials resorted to manual voting procedures without providing clear explanations to voters. This lack of communication created confusion and frustration as voters were unsure whether proper procedures were being followed. Result: management failures. Across several districts, including Alberton, Kibanda, Ibanda, Lubaga South in Kampala, results management faced serious challenges that undermined confidence in the electoral process. Key problems included missing ballot boxes, discrepancies between polling stations, declaration forms, and aggregated results, and vote counts exceeding the number of registered voters. There have been reported disputes between polling officials and party agents over access, positioning, and visibility during counting. While counting proceeded, it often prioritized order over transparency, limiting the ability of stakeholders to verify the process. In Alberton's Ajuli County, deficiencies in tallying and result integrity led the Electoral Commission to nullify results from 18 polling stations. A fresh poll for 27th January 2026. Operational inconsistencies across polling stations and districts resulted into unequal voting experiences and weakened confidence in the electoral processes. When procedures are applied unevenly, communication is lacking, and results cannot be reconciled across levels. Public trust is eroded. Even where corrective measures such as fresh polls are ordered, confidence is difficult to restore, particularly among communities directly affected. In Butambala district, this atmosphere tipped into violence with reported clashes between civilians and security forces, resulting in death. These incidents, widely reported in national and international media, cast a long shadow over polling in surrounding areas, heightening fear and limiting movement later in the day. The heavy and sometimes intrusive presence of security forces around the polling stations, particularly in urban and politically competitive areas, contributed to fear and withdrawal rather than reassurance. For some voters, the act of voting felt surveilled rather than protected. This had implications for turnout, and the lowest voter turnout in recent decades was evident in urban and peri-urban areas, particularly in Kampala and Wakiso, a pattern likely linked both to the participation and limited civic and voter education. Youth participation in the 2026 general elections remained uneven, with noticeably lower turnout among those aged between 18 to 35 in urban centers such as Kampala, including Kawempe, Machinde, and Nakawa divisions. This contributed to the low national voter turnout. Observations made by accredited IRCU observers across multiple districts. The Intelligence Council of Uganda issues the following preliminary in the interest of electoral integrity, cohesion, and participation. 1. Electoral Commission. The Electoral Commission should strengthen consistency and transparency in the management of polling and results. Where elections are annulled or fresh ordered, clear public explanation should be issued promptly. Detail the specific failures and the collective measures taken. This is essential to restoring confidence, particularly in districts such as Alabton and Uganda, where unresolved discrepancies directly affected voter trust. The Commission should also review polling day logistics and preparedness to reduce delays, reliance on improvised procedures, and unequal voting conditions. 2. Results management and tallying. Greater safeguards are required at the counting, transmission, and tallying stages. Discrepancies between polling station declarations and aggregated results undermine the legitimacy of outcome, even where legal remedies exist. The returning officers who are found guilty of tampering, altering results should be held accountable and dismissed from public office in public interest. Transparent reconciliation mechanisms should be visible to party agents, observers, and the public in real time. 3. Security agencies. Security deployments during elections should be guided by proportionality, neutrality, and restraint. While the prevention of violence is critical, heavy or intrusive presence around polling stations risks suppressing participation and creating fear among voters. Security agencies should prioritize voter protection and deterrence optics. 4. Civics and digital space. The internet access during the electoral period limited coordination and independent verification. IRCU urged the government to review the use of blanket communication restrictions during elections and to pursue that protect national security without undermining civic and electoral accountability. For actors, political parties and candidates should recommit to peaceful participation in the electoral process, including respect for electoral procedures and lawful dispute resolution mechanisms. At the same time, they bear responsibility to refrain from action that heighten polling stations or during tallying. 6. Role of faith leaders and communities. Faith leaders have a critical role in truth-telling without incitement. Religious institutions should continue to promote peaceful engagement while also speaking clearly against injustice, manipulation, and exclusion. Silence in the face of credible integrity concerns risks normalizing them. Conclusion. In conclusion, the preliminary findings highlight both the progress achieved and the challenges that remain in deepening our electoral democracy. As the Bible teaches us, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. This is according to the Gospel, according to Matthew chapter 5, verse 9. And also, the Quran reminds us, in quotes, cooperate in righteousness and piety, but do not cooperate in sin and aggression. This is Surah Al-Ma'idah, chapter 5, verse 2. Guided by these principles, the Intelligence Council of Uganda remains committed to fostering dialogue, understanding, and accountability among all stakeholders. Thank you, and may God bless us all. The Most Reverend Dr. Stephen Samuel Kazimba Mugaru, Archbishop of the Province of the Church of Uganda, Chairperson, Council, on behalf of the Intelligence Council of Uganda. God bless you all.